What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Neeks Sports. I don't know who it was. Someone said, I haven't seen that third kit for a while, Neeks. Here it is. It's here. It's back. You can see that. Good. Yeah, we're here. Away. We got an away game at Brighton tomorrow, 12:30 kickoff. It's our second game. Obviously, we're a game behind most other teams because we started the season late, but we need a victory. We need a victory desperately. Of course, we got one midweek against Luton Town, but we lost our first Premier League game to Crystal Palace at home. So I think the pressure is still on Man United. The pressure is still on OLE. We know there's a lot of talk around transfers, etc. So I think, 3 points here can go a long way just in terms of lifting the mood around the club, lifting just the atmosphere and the mood of the fans. More than anything. Of course, if we end up not signing anyone, there's still going to be a big downturn in terms of the mood. But 3 points can go a long way, and that's the name of the game. 3 points. We have to get results, regardless of what's going on elsewhere. We can talk about the board. We can talk about transfers and all that kind of stuff. We have to get results, and I think that's what that's what the players, that's what Solskjaer's going to go out and say to the players. That's what the players are going to be aiming to do. They have to put all the negative, talk what's happening around Manchester United. They have to put that to one side, put it out of their minds, and go out and do their job. And I think it's not going to be easy. Definitely not going to be easy. Brighton are playing well. They're through to the fourth round of the Europa League, the Carabao Cup. They won 3-0 against Newcastle in the second game of the season. Lost their first game 3-1 to Chelsea, but they were very good. They looked very, very good in that game. I'm not going to lie there. For first game of the season against a quality side like Chelsea, finished fourth last year. I think they definitely, they were unlucky. They were unlucky not to get something out of the game. Jay Spurs says Brighton going to do the business tomorrow. I don't know if it was you or was it Rodney who said that we were going to beat Crystal Palace. One of the two of you, and we lost. I think if it was you, then hopefully it's a good omen. Because you said we're going to beat Crystal Palace, and we lost. And now you're going to say Brighton's going to beat us. So hopefully we're going to win. But in terms of the team tomorrow, you can see the title I'm talking about, Eric Bailly and changes. You know, in the first game we had a few. Well, the team was weird. It was different. You know, there was Fosu Mensah, McTominay, Dan James. I was going to say Lindelof, but he was the first choice last year, of course. So that's not weird. But it's not a player that most of us want to see starting next to Maguire. There is some people who really do rate Lindelof. Lindelof is an average defender. Let's be honest. I don't think he's good enough to play in at this level in the Premier League because he gets bullied around too much. And I think you can't afford to get bullied in the Premier League. In other leagues, maybe, yeah, he's a good ball playing centre-back, silky, can pass the ball out, run out with the ball. It's not as physical, so you can get away with it. In the Premier League, people will see that lack of physicality and they will punish you. They will go for you. And I think Crystal Palace and Roy Hodgson set up for that perfectly. They had Zaha, Schlupp, Ayew all going on that side, and very rarely did they actually go down the other side. You know, credit to Maguire and Luke Shaw for when they did. They kind of nullified it. No real attacks came down that right-hand side. Obviously, we know the cross came in from the left, and it was Luke Shaw who was out of position for that. But generally, no attacks were targeted much down the left because when they were, or down our left, because when they were pretty much snuffed out. If not by Maguire, then you had McTominay filling in or Luke Shaw. Not that they played well, because they all made their mistakes and all, but if you're comparing to the likes of Lindelof, they played better. Doesn't say much because Lindelof was that bad, but they played better. So, you know, based on Solskjaer's talks, I think Lindelof might be out. And I wonder, because, you know, last season I was talking about, obviously everyone can see that Maguire and Lindelof ain't a great partnership. It doesn't work because neither of them have express pace. I know Devil in the details, Danny, he was saying that he thinks Lindelof's actually faster than maybe we think, but he's just not aggressive enough. And maybe that's part of it. He doesn't kind of just go into the tackles and, you know, throw his little weight about that he does. He's very, very frail in a challenge. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But neither of them are express pace. And Eric Bailly offers that much more in abundance. There might be other parts of his game that he's lacking, but at least he offers that in abundance compared to the other two. So it's a good balance to have if you have Eric Bailly there next to the likes of Maguire, or if you were to play Lindelof, you can do that. But for me, and it looks like for Solskjaer, I was always wondering, is he not playing Bailly because he doesn't trust in terms of his fitness? But what you don't want, and you're saying about partnership, is to be chopping and changing because of injuries, because you need to have a solid base. Now, in his press conference, we'll go through a few of his quotes. He says, yeah, of course, we're a week further down the line. It's been a good week. Some players have been training well, and the work on the training has been good. And I think that's important. Going into the Crystal Palace game, barely had any training sessions. A lot of the players who weren't in the squad or on the bench, or those who were on the bench, they hadn't really trained. So I understand why they didn't start. So they played well against Luton. We're further down the line. Like other teams, we needed to be further down the line because last week was disappointing. And he's completely right about that. Now, going on to the centre-backs, he says, I think last season, this was a bit weird, I'm not going to lie. But he says, okay, I've just reread it now and I understand. He goes, I think last season proved to us how we can defend at our best. Last week wasn't fantastic. And we know we conceded nearly 40% less goals last season than the season before. I think we had the second or third best defensive record in the Premier League. We conceded sloppy goals, but I think our defensive record last season with Bailly and also he said with Eric and Harry, obviously Bailly and Maguire, shows how good a partnership they were. Now, we know the main partnership last season was actually Maguire and Lindelof. So there's obviously certain games that he's talking about where those two impressed. And for me, the biggest one is the Chelsea versus Man United game. Bailly came back from a long injury or out of the team for injury and other things. And he came in and he bossed the game. He was so impressive. He won the game 2-0, I believe it was. And he was brilliant. Man was pirouetting on the edge of the area, Cruyff turn, all those kind of, I was like, wow, this guy, like he ain't missed a beat. But you could see how he complimented Maguire. And then he was out of the team after that. And you're like, what's going on? Then, he plays in the cup final, cup semi-final, gets injured. So he just can't seem to stay fit. But Solskjaer's then talking about a partnership of Maguire and Bailly. So it's filling me some hope that we might get some change going into Saturday's game. He says, Eric is fit again, a big, big plus, and looking forward to seeing him develop and play more games. We all are. We all are. We've been waiting for him to be fit and play more regularly. So maybe that's all it was. He just was waiting for Bailly to be fit, and he couldn't trust him previously to be fit. So that's why Lindelof had been playing. And I guess Lindelof and Maguire had developed a decent partnership last year. But going into the season, we need more. Teams are going to prey on what Palace did. They're going to look at that and say, we're going to do more of that. So I think, definitely having Lindelof, having Bailly back will be a big, big difference. He then goes on to speak about Axel Tuanzebe and him being, he started his training. He said, let me get that up. He said Tuanzebe is getting closer to training with the team. He's on the grass, and after the international break, he should be fine to join us. During lockdown, Tuanzebe was working hard. Then as soon as we got going after the restart, his foot was sore, so we had to have an operation. So he's got his own injury issues, and I think, Solskjaer said he's raring to go, and he's looking forward to getting him back. So either one of those, for me, will be better partners for Maguire than Lindelof has proved to be. So, for me personally, this is the team I'm going with. I think we're going to see a lot of changes, hopefully. Can you see that? Let's see, sorry. That's fine, yeah. That's the team I will go with. So David De Gea for me to keep his place. There's a lot of talk about Henderson, David De Gea, who should play. Some people are saying drop De Gea. No, De Gea is the number one. Keep his place until necessary. We've got games like back to back, midweek weekend. So Henderson will get his fair share of games in a short period of time. We're playing Brighton in the Premier League. Then we're playing Brighton in the Carabao Cup. So I'm sure Henderson will come back into that. And if David De Gea is, making catastrophic mistakes, then yeah, for sure Henderson gets his chance. But I think, David De Gea for me is our best player, as Jay Spurs said, or our best goalkeeper, sorry. As Jay Spurs says, yeah, that's our best team. I think this is our best team. Based on post-lockdown, you put in BAILLY for Lindelof, and it's pretty much what we had post-lockdown. So David De Gea in goal for me. Wan-Bissaka back into the team at right back. He played well against Luton Town. He obviously didn't play in the first game against Crystal Palace, so I'm expecting to see him here, having a few training sessions and 90 minutes under his belt. Luke Shaw at left back. Even if we are to get Alex Telles, he won't be here in time. And then, as I've discussed, BAILLY and Maguire as our centre back. And as Jay Spurs says, Maguire and BAILLY makes sense, 100%, makes perfect sense. BAILLY, as you say, is the more mobile centre back. And then the midfield. The midfield is a conundrum, but I don't know, it's just a discussion that's worth having. For me, after lockdown, Matic, Pogba, and Bruno, that midfield was working brilliantly. And I think based on that, you have to give it its chance. You have to give it its chance, because that's what kind of catapulted us into top 4. Definitely catapulted us into 3rd, because to go in and close the gap and pass Leicester. I think it would be wrong to move away from that, based on the fact that we haven't replaced or brought anyone in to replace Matic. Yes, we brought in Van der Beek, and Solskjaer was asked about that. Can the 3 of them, Van der Beek, Pogba, and Bruno play together? And he said, well, I think good players can play well, but also Scott, Nemanja, and Fred are good players. So there's competition for places, lots of combinations, different systems. So we'll see them together at some point. But I don't think some point is tomorrow. I'll be very, very surprised. You need that balance. And if Matic adds a bit of steal and passing ability from the back that both McTominay or Fred lack, whether the discipline to actually hold the midfield as a single pivot. I know he's got a 2-man pivot, and Pogba does drop deep, but Matic is always the deeper of the 2. And Pogba also has license to get forward. Fred isn't disciplined enough. He dives into tackles. His passing range isn't as good as Matic. He doesn't beat the press as good as Matic. And McTominay, that's not his best position. He's a box-to-box midfielder. So Matic, for me, should be playing and starting in that position with Pogba and Bruno Fernandes. And of course, Van der Beek's played well. He came off the bench, scored his goal, looked lively against Palace. He started a game against Luton and looked lively as well. Really one of the few players who are actually lively of the starting 11, especially in attack. And there's an argument that maybe he could come in for Bruno. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if he dropped Bruno for this game. Bruno came off the bench with Rashford and Greenwood against Luton and changed the game much more sharper. I'm not saying more sharper than Van der Beek, but just the 3 of them, I guess, came on moving the ball much quicker, and we created 2 goals in a couple minutes of them at the end of the game. So I'll be very, very surprised if Bruno doesn't start this game, or Van der Beek starts above him, should I say. John Shamaki said Bruno to score 2 pens, and Bruno was talking in the media actually about penalties. And everyone can mock penalties as much as you want, but then you see Jorginho steps up against Alisson, and it's a good save. I think it's good homework that Alisson's done. He's gonna do the hop and skip, and he's gonna wait for the keeper to move, and he's gonna go the other way. And Alisson didn't move. Alisson held his position and said, "You go first." And because Jorginho doesn't get much power into his kicks, especially when he does the jump, you wait for him to know where he's going to go, and you can dive that way very quickly. Alisson did his homework. Whereas Bruno, he does the skip as well, the jump, but he hits his penalty with so much more power. I think I saw one, he did the jump, and he went to the top corner. It could have been against Brighton, I can't remember. So you can mock penalties all you want, but penalties are not easy. Penalties still have to be scored, and all the pressure is on the taker because it's a one-on-one with no one challenging. 12 yards out. The odds are in your favor. The keeper can't step off the line because there's VAR. So the pressure's on the taker, and Bruno absorbs that pressure so well and puts it away. So if he gets 2 penalties, good for him. It means that we're winning penalties because we're in the box and you know, making things happen. Real Madrid, yes, the game is tomorrow, 12:30 British time, BST, British summertime. And then yeah, in attack, Greenwood. I think Greenwood for me should come in for Dan James. Dan James' best position is on the left. We know that maybe Greenwood's not going to start every game this season based on age, but he's ready to be a starter. And he came off the bench against Luton. His trademark double step over, shift the ball to his left. Of course, he can shift it to his right as well. Past the keeper, made it 3-0 in that game. And I think, you know, he's just going to develop more and more. He's going to develop, and I think he should be starting until we get a proper right-sided winger. Obviously, we know who the main one is that we're going in for. He should be starting. Marcus Rashford came off the bench against Luton, got his goal from open play as well. I think that's good. Good for his confidence. He looked good. I want to see him just driving at his man a lot more. He's going to be up against Lamptey on that side. I don't know if they're going to play a 4 or 5 or like 3 at the back or whatever, but he's going to be up against Lamptey. Lamptey's decent. He's got some pace to him. He's tricky going the other way, so Rashford may need to help out, sure. But I want him to take the initiative and push his fullback back. He's played a few games recently against fullbacks that you're like, they're not that great, and he hasn't put them under enough pressure. The likes of Kyle Walker-Peters, for example, Ward, I think it was in the Crystal Palace game. You should be running at them and beating them, and I think we need to just be much more quicker in our transition and get Rashford into those positions, and he needs to take the initiative, really. You can't just keep coming inside. You have to go both ways and make the defender think about what you're going to do next. And of course, Anthony Martial up front, that is a given. That is his position. You know, 23 goals last year, it was 24, can't remember now, in all competitions, 17 in the league, and I hope that you can go from strength to strength. And as I said before, I'm always going to back my boys, always going to back the boys. And for me, I'm going 2-1. 2-1 Man United. Brighton, as I said, they look decent in both the league and the Carabao Cup. Good 3-0 victory in the previous Premier League game, so it ain't going to be easy going away from home. But for me, I think we're going to get a victory, and we have to get a victory. We need to get a victory. As I said, amid all of the issues that's going on at Manchester United, 3 points is the most important thing, week in, week out. Real Madrid says, being a right footer, I think even Sancho's best position is on the left. He can play anywhere across there, but he does like the left, yes. But he's very good on the right, and I feel we just need a bit more attacking width. So Telles, as I mentioned earlier in my previous video today, Telles attacking on the left from left back, going down the line. And if we can get a Sancho on the right, going down the line, I think it just gives a bit more balance, a bit more variance to our attack, as opposed to everyone just cutting inside and clogging up the midfield. We have no width outside, and I think it's important to have that width. You look at Liverpool, for example, they've got the 2 fullbacks. The fullbacks, they've all that width, so everything else can go through the middle. Man City, when he can, he plays Mendy. Kyle Walker gets forward as much as he can these days. We used to have Sane on the left and Sterling on the right. It just and then obviously through the middle, you've got David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, and of course Aguero up front. You just need variance in attack, and at the moment, everything is going through the middle. You've got your 2 inside forwards who cut inside, whereas Greenwood and Rashford. Then you got the strength in the midfield of Pogba, Bruno, Matic, Van der Beek now. Whereas the fullbacks, Shaw and Wan-Bissaka don't attack enough. So you leave yourself very limited and having to quick interplay, and it has to come off. Whereas if you give yourself a bit of an option, you can let the players from the inside get inside the box and get some crosses into the box. Play the percentage ball, and hopefully something falls for you. You know, a couple of times in the Palace game, we actually put the ball into the box. Fosu Mensah had a cross that went to the back post. Greenwood missed the sitter header at the back post. And then the second one, I think it was a cross from Fosu again, deflected, fell to Van der Beek. You need to get some crosses in, and our fullbacks don't do that enough because, well, either they're not good enough to beat their man one-on-one, or we just don't have the interplay and the willingness, especially from Shaw, to go on the overlap and get some quality balls in. So for me, If Sancho comes in, I'd rather him on the right because he's better on the right than Rashford is on the left. He's better on the right than Rashford is out there. So I think and Rashford is good on the left. So I think it just gives a better balance to our attack. But we need to get him in first anyway. In terms of this game, we got Greenwood. Greenwood's going to be cutting in. So I implore, it needs to be Wan-Bissaka and Luke Shaw needs to get on the overlap. And Rashford also has to, try and stay wide at times and go past his man and give the man something to think about. That he's going to go on the outside or go on the inside. You can't just keep coming in and passing and coming in and passing. You can't do that. But yeah, I'm confident that we can get a victory. It will be a close game, I feel. Hopefully not. Hopefully we can get early goals, stretch the game like we did in post-lockdown or went to the Amex. But Brighton look decent, and I think they're going to think, Man United are there for the taking because, confidence is a bit low. Results haven't always been going our way. And for them, confidence should be a bit higher after the opening day defeat. So that's me. That's my thoughts. Guys, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We're coming up to 3,000 subs. Share the video, and I will see you lot soon.